Wow. Again, I just want to acknowledge our performers. Oh, what a wonderful performance. Thank you again so much. While we're moving furniture a little bit here, just in setting up for our questions and answers. This is my favorite part of it. Well, almost favorite part of the performance. I want everyone at home to start thinking about questions that you'd like to send in. And in the audience here, I will just raise your hand and I will and we'll ask questions. So this is a okay. Do I have any questions from the audience for the performance? Yes.
It's not so much a question as it's an acknowledgement of the challenge of new tech and not turning pages. Yeah. When your screen goes blank and your next page doesn't show, it's quite a challenge, but your recovery was very graceful. And you went right on with the piece. We enjoyed the rest of it. How often do you run into technical challenges?
This is the first time that I tried.
Yes, yeah, pick up the mic, and I'm going to repeat the question as well so our friends at home can hear. Technical challenges, if you had noticed any of the, some of the music was being read off of iPads, and it's not easy to keep the pages, or sometimes you get a blank page or such. And so the question was, how often does that happen? And tell us about your experience.
Sure. This is the first concert that I'm doing everything iPad. And I mean, Mozart, I had a little, I don't know, I thought I'm gonna run into this nightmare sometimes if I'm doing iPad the whole time. So I printed it last night. I'm glad I did. But with this, our duo pieces, it's hard because we don't have, page turners, but we actually have the cello line and the violin line on the pages. So we have to turn pages really often. So it's hard to work out somehow that we don't have to have an iPad and just have. I think you can maybe print and have like 2 stands so you don't have to turn pages, but it's hard to do that. So I thought maybe I'll try iPad. And Sarah, she does so well. She's been doing iPad often, playing off of iPad for a long time. So I thought I'll get inspired and do it, but this is gonna be the last time. I don't think I'll ever do it again.
Tell them they need to make a musician's iPad bigger.
Yeah, and I would love to have 2 iPads so that we don't have to have just 1 page to turn pages. I really thought it's going to be, maybe the mistake will be I'll press it too long and it'll turn 2 pages, but I didn't know it's going to not load. So when it didn't load, I was like, what do I do now? But it was my solo, so there wasn't really much that I can cover. So I'm thank you for going through it with me. Next time I see you, I probably will not using that.
The rest of us did not do so. During intermission, though, we got the note, Sarah, that her pedal kept sliding on the carpet, so we had to secure it down. So again, technology, we're still working on it, aren't we?
But it really helps, though, really. If it didn't do this today, I would keep on using it because, we don't have to turn pages, and for pieces like this, that's, too many pages to turn, it's perfect. And I thought it was such a good solution, so I just have to
practice.
Actually, I kind of find out what happened. I'm just gonna let you know, so whoever's watching will also learn and not do this. But I had too many programs open, and rookie mistake. So I should have just had this application open, but I had other programs open. Sarah told me during the intermission to shut everything down except this one. So yeah. Should have known.
Well, thanks for sharing with us on that, because it is easier, but it has its challenges, and I think a lot of musicians are using it. It also, you can see better, of course. You don't have to worry about whether you're relying on ambient light or music stand light that might go out on you and such things. So there's lots of nice little details that go into the performance that we're always having to work with. Yes. So I do have one question online, and I want to take any other questions coming up. Do you, either of you, both can answer, take occasional forays into pop and jazz or improvisation?
For me, my dad loved jazz, so I wish I can do better, but I love jazz, but I don't really delve into it too much because I think they're too amazing and it's hard to top that. When I was at Juilliard, I met friends who are in jazz, and until I met them, honestly, I'm embarrassed to say I thought Kenny G is the best jazz. So I said I love jazz to one of the jazz students, and he said, "Oh, who do you like the most?" And I said, "Kenny G," and he said, "Oh, okay." I still think he's great, but he didn't want to talk to me too much after that.
For me, that is actually the next thing that I want to learn. I know like a lot of modern composers, they use some kind of like a jazz feel into it, and some modern composers actually they ask us to play anything, like an improvisation and here and there. So those are the times that I kind of get to play a little bit, but not like really jazz from the beginning to end. So I like to kind of use that thing in the music, and I like it that. And also when you think about this Kodaly that you just hear. He actually used his background is Hungarian, and then he used the folk music, especially dance, and then on vocal. So it's not jazz, but also he wrote this piece while the jazz was very popular in Europe too, like after First World War. So I think there are some kind of rhythm you can actually think of. Yeah, jazz too.
Yeah, I heard, that's what I heard, you know, it certainly made reference to some jazz, you know, some of the progressions and I'll call them lyrics because they sounded like they were singing, so lyrics. All right. Can you tell us about your instruments, both of you? How long have you had them? Anything particularly special about them?
Maybe I can start first. I started cello when I was 5, so since 5, my age was 5, that's a lot of the time, a lot of years that I've been playing cello, so cello feels like a part of my body. And I'm so glad that we played string duo, which is not very popular chamber music form, because Mozart that you just heard, it's not for cello and violin. He wrote it for cello and viola, because Mozart didn't write anything for cello. No cello sonata and no concerto, nothing except some chamber music, but his trio or quartet, string trio or string quartet cello part is very minor. It's just like cello plays boom boom, just a bass line. So not challenging enough, but this one, because of it's for viola, cello has lots of things, and then cello can play almost like a viola or violin, second violin. So I really enjoyed it, and then working with other string instruments, because it's very natural for us to hear, and also it's very closer to vocal range, especially with the cello, from the bass to the high soprano. So that's it.
And how long have you had this particular instrument?
Oh, since 1994.
Okay. It is part of you.
For me, I actually have 2 instruments. I can't believe I can say that actually. A lot of it, actually, musicians, I think professional musicians like to have 2, one that has different tone and maybe sometimes even a backup instrument. But for me, I always play like a modern violin, and the maker's name is Pigansky. But I got an accident that the case dropped and the violin dropped with me, and it was a big scratch on the instrument. So I had to start playing on this violin that I got not that long ago. I think within this 1 year, got it during COVID, and this is not a modern violin for once. Actually, I've been playing on a modern violin for a long time. I think and Sarah helped me actually pick this violin too. She heard me play a lot of different instruments, and she gave me her opinions, and she proved to me that her ears are really great. But anyway, this violin is made by Paul Bailly, and it's made in I think 1800s, and it's kind of a wild horse. Like there's a big sound. And Sarah said it sounds like a violin sound. I think the other instrument I have is a little bit more muffled but warm. And so I'm used to that violin because I've been playing that violin for a long time, I think more than 10 years. So I'm used to trying to really work to get that sound, the big sound, because the other instruments are quieter. But this one, I don't have to work too hard and it has a big sound. But I have to get used to it because I keep trying to work a little too hard, and then this violin's like, no, it's too loud, I'm gonna make a scratchy sound. So it makes the opposite sound of what I want. So I'm getting used to it, but I'm really liking the violin. So I hope you liked it too.
Absolutely. I think it rendered itself to the piece as well. Any questions from the audience? Yes.
As Claude, you said you started celloing at age
Yeah.
Let me repeat the question.
Yeah.
At age 5, did you start with a cello that was perhaps smaller, or is it the same size?
Same thing as a violin. We have all different kind of sizes. These days they make, I think violin 1/16 is the smallest, but cello usually 1/8. 1/16 is very rare. Probably it's very hard to make sound out of it. So a famous story. Yo-Yo Ma started the cello with the viola. Viola with the his dad is a violist, and then put the NP. So they didn't used to make a small instrument, but these days 1/10 is, I think that's the smallest. I started with wrong size because we had just a half size cello. It was too very, very big. And then I got to a new teacher, and then he said, you have to go back to 1/8. So I started with 1/8.
Did you have a question? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Oh,
sorry. I was just very mesmerized by how you were playing violin. I was very impressed with that. And I was just wondering, why did you go to school for music?
Repeat the question. The question is, why did you choose music? Why did you go to school to learn music?
Honestly, because I love it. But I started when I was 4. I think I just turned 4, and then I started playing. I think I was barely moving right, and I started the violin. I think violin is a hard instrument. I think all string instruments are hard because we do bow and something else with the left hand. But honestly, the reason I started the violin, I'll tell you, is because I was so shy. So I wouldn't be up here if I didn't play the violin, I think. I was so shy, I would hide behind my mom's skirt all the time and not speak in school. To the point that the teacher thought I don't speak at home, but I talk a lot at home. So my mom was very confused, and she thought, okay, if she has an instrument, then maybe she'll get more confident. And I think her plan worked. So if my son at home, who's watching, I think, if he's also shy, I think I'll try this too. But I just honestly just kept the violin my whole life, and then one day I realized, I've been playing the violin for a long time. I think this is the one thing that really stuck with me for forever. I think I'll pursue this, and then I ended up in Juilliard. So yeah. I think when I was in Juilliard, I had a lot of friends who told me these stories of, oh, the instrument chose me, and I really wanted to play, but it's really my mom chose for me, but then it stuck with me. So.
See, I have a question. Oh, yes.
I found today's program extremely challenging and very different. So I would like to know behind the story about how you chose the program.
The question was that you found the program this evening extremely challenging and very different. And so, what was the story behind picking these pieces in the program?
We've been playing dual pieces for quite many years, so we have a lot of repertoires, but this Kodaly and actually Mozart, actually, it's the first time for Jiwon, and then we just got together during the summer. So yeah, why we chose this program? Because number one, we wanted to challenge ourselves, and then learning new repertoire. Plus, we really wanted to learn Kodaly. So we've been really thinking about Kodaly for a long time, and then now we got the chance to do it. And we think a lot of the string duos are pretty much 20th century, early 20th century and on. People started to play string duo, especially cello and violin form. But before that, cellists never really played thumb position a lot. Or cello was, many people think cello is just an accompaniment instrument. And people were so into string quartet and just to limit our range. So cellists usually plays just a bottom. But these composers, especially Allegro and Kodaly, wrote it so wonderfully. So it's great for cellists to play. It's very challenging pieces for both instruments, but we're so attracted to play.
And thank you for the program you picked this evening. It was so, well, impressive because we knew it was challenging, yes? and that you picked it for us. It was just wonderful. I have a question. So you're both members of Ensemble Ari, and Ensemble Ari is based in San Francisco. And can you tell us a little bit about the ensemble and like when you first joined the ensemble, and a little bit about the mission of the ensemble and such?
I first came to San Francisco.
I mean, it's 2014.
Oh, okay. I was trying to remember. Yeah, I actually moved here about 2013, the end of 2013, and I luckily was able to. Jiwon found me, and I was able to find, meet wonderful members. We're the first. Two of us are. We were here in the beginning when Ensemble Ari was made, and it changed my life. They came to. They're like my family. They came to my wedding, played at my wedding for me. They're here when I'm pregnant, after pregnancy. Sorry, it was recent, so I'm remembering. Like they're like sisters to me. So I feel so lucky. I always tell them, but I wanted to tell them in person. I feel so lucky that they're in my life, and they really are like family to me. So yeah, 2014, long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ensemble Ari and then other ensembles are a little different because we have a composer who's a director. So we had to try to work with the composers, living composers especially, and then sometimes we try to balance the living composers' pieces and then also the old classical repertoire as well. And then we're just 5 of us, but sometimes we invite guest artists, and then we try to collaborate with the singers or even traditional instrument players, or sometimes Renaissance instruments, and we actually try all different kind of things, and then try to really communicate through our ensemble. And also, since everybody in our ensemble were Korean Americans, so we want to have a more bridge in between the Asia and Western culture. Yeah.
I can say that we've had Ensemble Ari, or different members of Ensemble Ari, perform here a number of times, and every single time it's absolutely a delightful performance. So thank you, Ensemble Ari, and thank you, both of you, for putting this wonderful program together.
We performed here before, 2 of us, and I was sitting backstage when we performed last time. My string went down during the piece, so I had to stop and play again. It happened today too, so it keeps happening here. But we pick up and go, and the audience, today are so warm about it, and so I feel thankful. But it keeps happening here for some reason.
We'll break the spell and have you back again. All right, any other questions? All right. Well, thank you again so much for this wonderful performance and for sitting with us afterwards as well. I have just a couple things to say. I've got a list. First of all, if you enjoyed the performance tonight, Ensemble Ari is also going to be at the Lafayette Library on Saturday the 24th at 8 o'clock. And the concert will also include other local artists. and a reception afterwards, so you can hear more of Ensemble Ari's performances on the 24th. All right? And in our performances, our next concert was scheduled for October 22nd, featuring Marina Tolstova, a soprano voice. It has been postponed till January 21st, so please make a note of that. And then our next concert here will be November 12th, featuring a jazz guitar duet, Austin and Owens. So mark your calendars for that. That will be a lot of fun. If you're not on our email list, see me afterwards here, and those online, if you can find our email, or I'll just mention it to you, concert series at St. Paul's, or stpaulswc.org. You can write to us, and I'll make sure that you get an invitation for all of our future performances. And thank you everyone for coming this evening, and I sure hopefully see you back in November and for all our future concerts. All right, be safe and God bless. Good night.